We don't have to remember all of them.
Yeah, no, not all
We'll
like
send
20.
people right back to the website. We're trying to remember all the sponsors. There's so many of them for the Startup Team Weekend. And we are joined with Thomas Abeyta, the founder of Slipstream, and Taylor Chavez. They're both from the Teen ABQ Startup Weekend. And Taylor, this is your second Startup Weekend, right?
Yes, this is both of our second time organizing a weekend. So.
And the Startup Weekends are awesome because they're a 3-day thing where anybody can come and launch a business, or at least get the basics of launching their business together, right?
Yeah.
And in your case, you're doing it for people who are teenagers.
That's what our goal is. It's actually a global organization. So these things happen around all over the world. We just tend to do them specifically for high school students.
Great. So how did you guys get involved in this?
Well, I remember Becky was she went to a startup weekend up in Santa Fe, and she started having an idea of what if we had an event like this for teenagers.
You got inspired by all the businesses you saw there?
I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, that is the coolest thing. Why can't I do this?
Right.
So, she started putting this thing together, and then her dad reached out to me and asked, hey, do you want to help organize this? And before you knew it, we accidentally had this organization rolling in our hands.
You accidentally had an organization rolling?
This kind of happened.
Well, are kids really interested in starting businesses now? Is that a thing that is
Well,
big?
we're trying to make
or
it
just
a
your
thing.
friends?
At this point, 29 kids are, so.
That's cool. That's very cool. So this Startup Weekend, so I know there's a whole process to this. So it starts on Friday night. And what happens on the Friday night?
Friday night, we throw everybody in there, mix them all up, get them talking to each other, and then if people have business ideas, they get a 1-minute elevator pitch to go up there in front of the group and say, this is my idea, this is what I want to do, and I need people to help with this, this, and this. And then from there, teams form organically, and then you somehow have a group. And
Saturday morning, you all get back together, right?
And you work on your business, and you try to flesh out a business model and make everything look decent and gorgeous. So by Sunday, you can present to a panel of judges and give a 5-minute pitch.
Awesome. And is that how Slipstream started?
Yes, actually, what we did is the first organization, the first Teen Startup Weekend we did, I decided, to be a part of, just, we could have enough kids, and so we could, just so they had someone there who knew what they were doing. I decided, I have an idea, me and my friend want to start this company, so we started it there. So
cool.
You could already say that the Teen Startup Weekend has already launched one business.
That's very cool. Well, you had a winning business plan last year too, right?
I did have a winning business plan. It wasn't just mine. It was my group's, but this was at an adult startup weekend. And that was the time, I was the only participant under the age of 20. And
Wow.
that was terrifying.
Well, how old are you guys now?
I'm 16 now.
I'm 15.
You're 50. And you already have businesses.
Yeah,
That's
it's
amazing.
pretty cool.
So what happened with your business after you launched it at the startup weekend?
Our business actually did not progress as far as we would have liked it to. But we tried for a while, and I mean, part of starting startups is failing or not. And we stopped, and that wasn't a bad thing. So it worked out.
So where is the one this weekend, the Teen Startup Week? Where will it be? How do people get involved?
Right now we're actually having it at a place.
Fat Pipe ABQ?
Yeah, Fat Pipe. So
One of your sponsors?
One of our sponsors. They're lovely. They decided to donate the event space for us, and it's the old Albuquerque High School library that's been renovated into like a business accelerator co-working space. And so it's really fantastic. And you can go to the website, which I think the link is up on.
We had the link a couple seconds ago.
Okay, because it's a long and awkward link. But so you can go to the website, you can see all the schedules and registration, and that's how that works.
Very cool. So what kinds of companies are you finding kids are launching? I mean, are teenagers companies different from the companies you saw at the adult startup weekend?
that was probably the biggest surprise. Is when it comes to it, there's probably a lot more tech at the Teen Startup Weekend because there's just a lot of kids who now are so versatile and this modern age with all these technologies coming out that they're the ones who are having these ideas and they're wanting to progress with these ideas. So I was almost surprised to see how many more tech ideas that there are at these Teen Startup Weekends.
Right, right. Yours is a media company.
It's actually a software company.
Software company.
We're hoping have a media aspect to that, but yeah, it's mostly software for SDK platforming.
Very cool. And are you guys looking for more hardware, more software, more scalable businesses, more local businesses?
We're welcome for anything, honestly.
It can be anything too. Like it could be boutiques, it could be coffee shops, it could be whatever you want it to be, right?
Basically, if you have an idea and you want to try it out, we're welcome with it.
And then you'll help. And how do the teams form? I mean, that to me sounds really interesting because I know that there are people who show up at these things with like there'll be programmers and there will be actors, there will be whatever else, you know, everybody has their own thing. So how do you find the teams and how do they grow?
The teams, actually, it's kind of hard to explain until you actually attend an event, because they do form so weirdly, but it's like this organic blob of people, and then they kind of blob off into more smaller groups of people. You go to what ideas interest you, what you're passionate about, what you think looks cool, and where people would want your expertise.
That's very cool. And Doug, who's sitting over here, Doug, wouldn't it have been great when we were kids to have been able to have something like this, to be able to launch businesses?
Well, I was just thinking that it'd be great if some of these kids wanted to do a theater company.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's a demand for children's theater in this city and all over the country. That's one of the things that you can get grants for, and federal funding and state funding, and so there's a whole world of opportunity for you.
Could he come and pitch that idea, or does he have to send somebody who's under the age of 20 to come pitch the idea?
Pretty much under the age of 20. This is a teen event, so we want high school students, middle school students, all of the teen age.
Very cool. And what would the ideal company you guys think be that came out of this? Would it be something that had a really long life, or something that was maybe had an early exit? I mean, what's the company idea that you guys are looking for? Or is there a startup teen model yet?
I mean, that's the greatest thing about this event, is what we're looking to come out of this is really the people who come out of it, not to necessarily have the best company that comes out of it, but the best entrepreneurs that come out of this. It's really about, are we creating kids who come out of this who are passionate about, starting their companies, who are just fascinated about the world, or are we creating kids, who want just, go create a company, if it fails, oh well.
Right. And this is a thing that entrepreneurship is just now really catching on in Albuquerque, kind of as a movement over the last couple of years. It's really been building. Is it finding traction at your high schools? Because you're at La Cueva and you're at Bosque School, am I right?
Yes.
And is it finding traction there? Are you finding your friends in school saying, wow, I'm seeing these two start businesses, I want to do the same thing?
We're trying to get to that point. That's our goal.
Yeah.
We want to spark the interest in the high schools. We want to get that entrepreneurship education out there, because this entrepreneurship movement that's happening in Albuquerque, it's going places, and it's going places fast, and we want to be a part of it.
And you have the same enthusiasm that you had at your TEDx speech,
your
TED Talk. And for those that don't know, she gave this really incredible TED Talk not too long ago about that, about startups and about teen startups.
Yes.
And how did you end up getting on the TED stage for this? Because the TED stage it's big, you get to wear that Madonna microphone, you get to do your whole thing. How did you end up on that stage?
Actually, Tim Nisley, who was the organizer of the event, after he heard what I was doing, he's like, hey, we have a 3-minute spot. Do you want to do something about this? And I was like, why not? And it was really fun. So.
Excellent. So what is lacking in the entrepreneurship education part of this stuff? So in school, they're teaching all the regular classes. I mean, what would be the class that you would need that would be an entrepreneurship class? What would be something that somebody could launch that would help?
Well, I mean, we're starting to see the forms of that, like with DECA, right? And we have some programming companies. The biggest thing is, I would say we're just not stressing enough about how much these startups can actually be a part of someone's life, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, we're stressing so much about these regular classes that I feel like we're not progressing enough with when we're talking about, hey, do you want to come start a company? No one sounds interested because so many of them fail that they say, you probably shouldn't do that because it's not, a reliable source of money.
Oh. But yeah, when you're a teenager, that's perfect because
right.
Nobody has a reliable source of money when you're 15.
That's the perfect thing. Entrepreneurship is all about risk-taking and taking chances and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And teenagers are pretty much fearless, and that's what we want to latch onto.
And the school system is definitely not about teaching fearlessness. What's going to get you to college? What's going to...
Right, yeah. What will set you up for the job down the road, rather than what will set you up for the career in the startup business.
Right.
Very cool. We're going to talk to you guys a little bit more about this. If you'll stick around, we'll talk movies and a little bit more in a bit. And we got a whole bunch more. Joey Belleville is going to tell us all about some of the great movies we got to see this weekend, and I want to pick his brain about Oscar picks on the Morning Brew with Friends.